I still remember the day like it was yesterday. It was a cold morning in November, and I was sitting in my small, cozy living room, sipping coffee and reading the newspaper. That's when I saw the article. 6 newborns in need of a home. The story was about a set of white sextuplets whose parents had tragically passed away in a car accident just days after their birth. The babies were healthy, but no one had stepped forward to adopt all 6 of them. They were about to be separated and sent to different foster homes. Something inside me just clicked. I didn't have much, just a modest house, a steady job, and a lot of love to give. But I knew I had to do something. I was a single black man in my early 30s, and I'd always dreamed of having a family. I never imagined it would happen like this, but life has a way of surprising you. I went to the adoption agency the next day. The social worker looked at me skeptically at first. "All 6?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "Do you understand what you're taking on?" I nodded. I didn't have all the answers, but I knew one thing. These babies deserved to stay together. And I was determined to give them that. The first few years were a blur. Sleepless nights, endless diaper changes, and the constant hum of baby cries filled my days. I learned how to braid hair, pack 6 lunches at once, and juggle doctor's appointments like a pro. It wasn't easy, but every time I looked at their little faces, Emily, Jack, Sophia, Liam, Ava, and Noah, I knew I'd made the right choice. As they grew older, life got even more interesting. Emily was the artistic one, always drawing pictures of our family. Jack was the jokester, making everyone laugh with his silly impressions. Sophia was the bookworm, her nose always buried in a novel. Liam was the athlete, running circles around the rest of us. Ava was the nurturer, taking care of everyone like a little mom. And Noah, he was the thinker, always asking questions about the stars and the universe. We didn't have much money, but we had love. Lots of it. We celebrated birthdays with homemade cakes and danced in the living room to old Motown records. I taught them about kindness, respect, and the importance of family. And they taught me patience, resilience, and the true meaning of unconditional love. Of course, there were challenges. People would stare at us when we went out. A black man with 6 white kids. Some whispered, others asked rude questions. But we didn't let it bother us. We were a family, and that was all that mattered. One day, when Emily was about 7, she came home from school crying. "Dad," she said, her voice trembling, "a kid in my class said you're not my real dad because we don't look the same." My heart broke a little that day. I knelt down, looked her in the eyes, and said, "Family isn't about looking the same, sweetheart. It's about loving each other, and I love you more than anything in this world." She hugged me tight, and from that day on, she'd proudly tell anyone who asked, "He's my dad, and he's the best." As the years went by, we faced more hurdles. There were times when money was tight, and I had to work extra shifts to make ends meet. There were moments of doubt when I wondered if I was doing enough, if I was enough. But every time I felt that way, one of the kids would do something, a drawing, a hug, a silly joke, that reminded me why I was doing this. 20 years later, I can hardly believe how far we've come. Emily is a graphic designer, Jack is a stand-up comedian, Sophia is a published author, Liam is a college soccer star, Ava is studying to be a nurse, and Noah is an astrophysicist. They're all grown up now, but they still come home for Sunday dinners, filling the house with laughter and stories. Last year on Father's Day, they surprised me with a scrapbook. It was filled with photos and memories from over the years. Birthdays, holidays, vacations, and even the messy, chaotic moments in between. On the last page, they'd written a note, "To the best dad in the world. Thank you for giving us a life full of love and for teaching us that family isn't about color. It's about the heart." I cried when I read that. Not because I was sad, but because I was so proud of the people they'd become. They weren't just my kids, they were my greatest joy, my biggest adventure, and my proudest achievement. Looking back, I realized that adopting those 6 babies was the best decision I ever made. They didn't just need me, I needed them too. Together, we built a life, a family, and a love that will last forever. Now, as I sit in my quiet living room, the same one where I first read about them all those years ago, I feel a deep sense of gratitude. Life hasn't always been easy, but it's been beautiful. And I wouldn't trade a single moment of it. Not the sleepless nights, not the challenges, not even the stares and whispers. because every moment brought us closer together. Family is what you make it. It's the love you give, the sacrifices you make, and the memories you create. And in the end, that's all that really matters.